Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to MadridistaFitz, home of Real Madrid's 11th best YouTube channel, and what can only be described as kind of a depressing Sunday for your boy watching the Barcelona boys, if you want to call them, the two or three players that stepped up for this Barcelona Spanish team, win a World Cup. That is correct. Spain beat Argentina in extra time in what can only be described as an absolute hook, line, and fucking snoozer of a game. Man, congratulations to Spain, first off, and congratulations to Barcelona fans, too. If Barcelona fans want to say this was a all Barcelona-led championship, World Cup, whatever you want to say, go ahead and have at it. That's fine. There were some Barcelona players that definitely contribute, particularly the big tuna himself, Ferland Torres, for all the shit that this guy gets from myself and Barcelona fans alike. He banged in the game-winning goal and tied Lamine Yamal, the Barcelona princess, on goals itself, a big one in the World Cup. And Spain won the World Cup today against Argentina. We're going to get into that a little bit. We'll talk about the narrative behind Mr. Lamine Yamal. Congratulations, by the way, 19 years old, winning a World Cup. Incredible. We'll go over the team of the tournament and what is next for both Real Madrid and Barcelona, home of Real Madrid's 11th best YouTube channel. This is MadridistaFitz. So my brother sent me something after the end of this game, and I knew that the stat line wasn't good on Argentina's side, but holy crap, man. Did this Argentina team really want to try to go forward? Did they really want to try to fight? Did they really want to try to press or even score a goal in this game? Because I know Spain's defense is absolutely elite. That is just facts, factually speaking. And like I said, hats off to any Barcelona fans, any Spanish citizens. They have an incredible squad. This could be it already is a generational team. They pulled a madness and did the double, you could say. They won the Euros and now they've won the World Cup. They certainly will be favorites in the next Euros. This is a very young Spanish squad for sure. Now Rodri is getting up there in age. He did win the Golden Ball today. I'll get into that in a minute. And I think they got all the awards correct as well at the end of this World Cup, which for the most part was magnificent. There were a few hiccups if you're a Real Madrid fan towards the end of it, but what can you say about this Spanish team, and what can you say about the kind of disgraceful exit of this Argentina team? Spain throughout this whole tournament, man, if you watch their games, I guess from a neutral perspective, I guess from someone that doesn't have a sophisticated palate when it comes to football and soccer, you could say every Spain game was a absolute fucking snoozer to watch. I admittedly so during this final. I clocked it in. I have a ring that measures my blood pressure and my pulse. At one time, the ring that I have marked me as asleep, so I fell asleep while watching this game with my eyes open. It was so boring. Nothing was going on in this fucking match. The entire first half, Spain's best opportunity was Lamine Yamal. Had a half chance in the first half. You knew he wasn't going to score. He never scores a goal or gets an assist in the World Cup, but he had an opportunity. That was about it. Argentina brought the ball forward maybe once, maybe twice, and you knew at halftime you were like, this is going to be a snoozer of a game. No one is doing anything in this World Cup affair. But hats off to Spain. They were a little more positive in the second half going forward, getting a couple half chances here and there. But the real storyline of this is Argentina. What in the fuck was that? I mean, I'm never going to talk crap really about the GOAT himself, Lionel Messi. It would be disrespectful at this point for everything he's contributed to soccer. But man, he didn't really participate in today's match. You knew you weren't going to get a lot of running from him, but it was particularly a lot of walking today from Lionel Messi. Not a lot of Lionel Messi magic going along. Not a lot of magic from Argentina in general. Spain, like I said, from a neutral perspective, they play, I wouldn't say some of the more exciting brand of football, but it doesn't really fucking matter. At the end of the day, they won this trophy, and they won this trophy because their defense and their pressing of the ball when the other team loses it is spectacular. I've never seen a team do it better than this Spanish national team. They let up one open play goal the entire World Cup run. And you'll see I have a team of who I thought was the best 11 players at this World Cup. The entire Spanish back line should be given medals of honor, or the equivalent for Spain, because they defended their country better than anyone has ever seen a person wearing a Spanish jersey. They let in one open goal. They let this Argentina team that has been pure magic, that Messi has been pure magic when they're down a goal. They've literally, this Argentina team maybe have not chances on goal. They maybe got the ball down the other side of the field 5 or 6 times in the entire game up until maybe the last 2 minutes when they were desperate and just trying their best to go forward. That is incredible. Every time that they got the ball, Argentina, and they tried formulating an attack, they either turned it over to a Spanish player, played a bad pass, or simply they got the ball on the other side of the field and the pressure was getting to them from the Spanish midfield and or defense, and they passed the ball backwards and went to the keeper. It's just, if Argentina would have won this game, it would have been anti-football. I'll admittedly so. I will say, you will never catch me rooting for the Spanish national team. I can attest to this. I talked to my buddy throughout this entire game. I was rooting for Argentina throughout the most part of this game, but just their lackluster and lack of effort trying to go forward, I switched my allegiance. As a Real Madrid fan, you never would expect me to root for a Spanish team, but they were at least positive, trying to do something going forward. Now, Spain will just absolutely pass the death out of you. I couldn't even imagine the passes completed on one side to the other. I think my brother sent me a stat that was like 700 passes completed to Argentina's 300. It was a madness. I don't quote me on that one. I know I've got called out by some Barcelona fans on my stats, but yeah, hats off to Spain. Well deserved. If Argentina would have won this game, it would have been anti-football. You could tell from the halftime go they were playing for penals, and then when Enzo Fernandez, supposedly the best midfielder in the world, which I had a Barcelona fan text me the other day, got a silly second yellow card, a silly first red card in the first place, I think, for arguing with the ref. And then he had a madness and he lost his mind, and he simply just fouled the shit out of Kubarsi. He hit him in the foot. It wasn't even close to being, touching the ball. And he hit Kubarsi so hard his ass was flying back to Catalonia. It was a madness. And pretty much after that moment that the best midfielder in the world got a red card and fouled out of the game, there was just no hope for Argentina. You knew when they went down a man, they were really, all they had left was to play for penalties, and they did, dig in deep. They showed, I would say, more heart trying to not let Spain score than they had heart going forward. But after a while, it wasn't who I thought it was going to be. I was waiting all tournament for the Barcelona princess, the best player in the world, to do something, Lamine Yamal, but it never came. He never scored a goal. He never got an assist. It was his teammate, the big tuna himself, Ferran Torres, came in and smashed home a goal on a Nico Williams assist. A very good assist from Nico Williams. Nico Williams looked quite good in this game. Maybe he was finally getting healthy coming off an injury, but he looked pretty dynamic. He should have actually passed the ball to Lamine Yamal, and Lamine Yamal could have done something he never did hardly at all this tournament, which was score a goal. But it doesn't matter. Lamine Yamal is laughing all his way to a World Cup and maybe even a Ballon d'Or. But hats off to Spain. They were the better of the side. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how pretty you play out on the field. That's just a matter of facts. And it proved the old adage, defense wins championships. It sure as hell did at this World Cup. They did not allow anyone to hardly score on them. Belgium got 1 goal against them in open play. The only thing I can really think of that is the equivalent of this, and I do think the Italian side in 2006 played a better, more free-flowing style of football, but they only let up 1 goal. I believe it was from a penalty. So they joined the likes of Italy in that regard, but their defense is tough, and it leads you to wonder how far can this golden generation of this Spanish team really go. Now, you could say, will the form from the World Cup translate to Barcelona's success in Europe? I'll go over that in a minute. I doubt it. But this Spanish national team, it's incredible. They already won a Euros. They already won a World Cup. They will certainly be favorites. Their best player, who is supposedly Lamine Yamal, he's only 19 years old. This is only the beginning for him. Will he lead the team? Will he be a bigger contribution in future World Cups? That's to be seen. But congratulations to the Spanish national team. Well deserved. They were the best team at this World Cup. They might not have had the most dynamic individual players, but they by far were the best team. And that's all that matters in football. I think sometimes we get caught up in the who's the best player in the world debate. I certainly do with Barcelona fans. We argue about this all day, all the time, but it doesn't matter in football as long as you have a collective group of the best 11 playing together as a team. That's all that matters at the end of the day. And Real Madrid should really take note about this. It doesn't matter who we keep signing. It doesn't matter if you keep bringing in the biggest players in the world. You need to play as a team, as a unit, and that's what Spain did better than anyone else. And hats off to those cats. Incredible run at the World Cup. And one thing I will say that they usually screw up sometimes at the end of these is the awards given out. Obviously, the Golden Boot went to Kylian Mbappe. He banged in 10 goals. He was the first player to bang in 10 goals at a World Cup since 1970. He had an incredible World Cup, albeit a very disappointing finish in the semifinals against the eventual winners, Spain. I did say in a previous video, whoever won that game was going to win the World Cup. He won the Golden Boot, and then the best young player of the FIFA World Cup 2006. I think they got this one right all the way. My gosh, they could have easily given this trophy to Lamine Yamal just by name recognition alone, and I thought that's what was going to happen. But they rightfully so gave it to Paul Cabarsi, one of the defenders. Incredible defender. I glazed the shit out of this guy. I'm a Real Madrid fan. I would trade Paul Cabarsi for our entire back line, minus Cucurella. I'll take that motherfucker. We're getting him next year. But I would certainly trade him for over any of our center backs. The kid's incredible. Now, he's been made to look like a chump because Barcelona employs a really stupid high line. I've gone over that before. But he had an incredible World Cup, and deservingly so. He won the best young player of the award. Thank you for FIFA getting that one right. And then the Golden Ball award to the best player in the tournament. Call it what you want. They could have given that one to Lamine Yamal as well by name recognition alone. Thank God they did not do that. Thank God they did not give it to Lionel Messi because his team simply did not win. He had an incredible tournament for the most part. There were some other incredible players out there, like Jude Bellingham, certainly what could have been in the mentioning of it, but that's not ever going to happen for a player that doesn't make a final. Same with Kylian Mbappe. He had an outstanding World Cup on an individual level. That was never in his cards to win that world award. Michael Olise had an outstanding World Cup. 7 assists for Michael Olise. That ties him with Pele. If you're being met for the most assists at a World Cup, if you are in the same breath as Pele, you did something outstanding at a World Cup. 7 assists. That's a madness. He didn't bring his shooting boots in the third place game. But they gave the Golden Ball award to Rodri. He's still the best defensive midfielder in the world. You could say that. Now, I'll get into him in a minute because, of course, he's going to be linked heavily to Real Madrid. This guy has stated he wants to go to Real Madrid. That's his team, all that he's been twerking towards them. I'll get into that in a minute. But thank God, as a Real Madrid fan, and I don't even care that Real Madrid or that Spain won this game. I really don't. We can call it the FC Barcelona International Award. I'm fine with that. I'm just glad that I'm marked safe from the Lamine Yamal Ballon d'Or loading. So this next slide I have is what a player he is at 19. Is the Ballon d'Or loading? Is the next GOAT loading? So I think if he would have done anything in this game, or maybe anything in this tournament besides scoring 1 goal against Saudi Arabia, the glaze around Lamine Yamal would have been just the craziest shit you've ever seen in football. It would have been it's already high as hell with Barcelona fans. And I will say Lamine Yamal is an absolutely incredible football player. Just think of what this guy has already accomplished, albeit he didn't contribute much to the group project with this World Cup. But it doesn't matter. Lamine Yamal has conquered football nearly at not even turning 20 years old. He couldn't even legally get a drink of alcohol in the United States. He hasn't turned 21, but he's conquered almost all of football. The guy's won La Liga, Mickey Mouse Trophy, of course. I don't even care about that as Real Madrid. I don't know. I can't recall if they won a Copa del Rey. I think they won that the previous year. So, yes, he's won a Copa del Rey, the domestic trophy. Like I've always said, Barcelona is domestic queens. They will never win a Champions League, but he's won a La Liga. He's won a Copa del Rey. He's won a Euros. He's won a World Cup. The only thing that he hasn't done to complete the career, I guess you could say hat trick or career in trophies, is win a Champions League. Now, will Barcelona ever do that? Who the hell knows? I mean, I personally, I'll get into that at my end of my video of where I see this season going for Real Madrid and Barcelona. But man, the glaze that would have came off of all Barcelona fans at the end of this World Cup if Lamine Yamal would have done anything in this tournament except bang in one goal against Saudi Arabia, it would have been just fucking insane. Now, I do have his stats up in this World Cup, and I know Barcelona fans like to talk about the eye test. I'll get into the eye test in a minute with him, which I see with his game of where it's at. And for me to talk about Lamine Yamal, it's kind of classless because Lamine Yamal could dribble circles around me. I cannot even worthy to sniff Lamine Yamal's jockstrap. But when you're comparing him to the best players in the world and all that, he had a total. If we look at his stats, he was the lord of double zeros. There's never a game where you'd see Lamine Yamal get a goal or an assist. He had double zeros against Cape Verde. He had his best game against Saudi Arabia. He banged in a goal. And then he had double zeros against Uruguay, double zeros against Austria, double zeros against Portugal, double zeros against Belgium, double zeros against France, and double zeros in the World Cup final. Now, this is not something that's unusual for Lamine Yamal. He's the king of double zeros this last year in big games. I have this over here to the side. Any big game that he's been a part of, including the World Cup and then dating back to all their games against Atletico Madrid and the Copa del Rey and the Champions League, he had 0 goals and assists, 0 goals and assists, 0 goals and assists. Against Chelsea, 0 goals and assists. Against PSG, 0 goals and assists. Against Real Madrid, 0 goals and assists, which leads me to the eye test. He is 19 years old. This guy is only going to get better. He's a fucking incredible player. He certainly is a top lad. If you want to call him the best player in the world, that's fine. I'm not yet ready to crown him as the best player in the world. I'm not yet ready to give him a Ballon d'Or, and I think it would have been a shame, and I think it would have been the most controversial Ballon d'Or ever given if this guy would have done anything in this final. If he would have scored a goal, if he would have got an assist, surely they would have given him the Ballon d'Or next year. But like I said, he's only 19 years old, and what my eye test says for him right now is the dude, what really reminds me of, a little bit different of a playing style. He reminds me of a better version of Cristiano Ronaldo in the 2006 World Cup. I don't know if you are watching this video, if you even watched that World Cup, if you were too young to watch it. This is when Cristiano Ronaldo broke onto the scene. Now, albeit Lamine Yamal was better at this World Cup than Cristiano Ronaldo at that World Cup. He's a better player currently than that age that Cristiano Ronaldo was at, which he was in his early 20s. I want to say 20, maybe 21, maybe 20 years old. I can't remember, but Lamine Yamal is only 19 years old now. In that World Cup, Cristiano Ronaldo in the 2006 World Cup was dancing around everyone. He looked unstoppable when it came to one-on-one dribbling. He made some of the best YouTube highlights, but one thing you didn't see at the end of those highlights of all those stepovers, all those moves around players was the final product, the end product of it, which was banging in goals and getting assists. Cristiano Ronaldo at that World Cup, I believe, only had 1 goal, and that was from the penalty spot. That's what I saw with my eye test of Lamine Yamal. I'm not trying to shit on him. He could certainly be the next GOAT. That's for sure. He's already conquered football. And 20 years from now, when Lamine Yamal is up there, and let's say he ends up banging in 15, 20 World Cup goals, and maybe if he never wins another World Cup, people that never watched this World Cup will be like, oh, Lamine Yamal dominated this World Cup. He was incredible. No, he wasn't. He was pretty average. He had 1 goal. I never would have guessed before the tournament started that Spain would have won if Lamine Yamal only had 1 goal. That's a testament to how good Spain is. Now, what I see with his game is the final product simply isn't there yet. His shooting ability isn't quite there yet. You know what he's trying to do. He loves to curl the ball. It's a very hard thing to do all the time, is wrap your foot around the ball and place it in that top hand corner. Now, if Lamine Yamal does what Cristiano Ronaldo did after that World Cup, was that one summer between Cristiano Ronaldo's 2006 World Cup and when he came back, the dude his finishing ability just was through the charts. I think at Manchester United at the time, he scored like maybe 10 goals. The previous season, he came back and he scored almost 20. Now, Lamine Yamal is already at a better point than that, but if this guy learns, how to bang the ball in the back of the net, look out. I mean, don't even look out on a La Liga based scenario. Look out in the Champions League, and that's what Barcelona is going to need in order for them to conquer Europe. Is they're going to need this guy to bring his dribbling ability and attach a final product to it, because right now I just didn't see it at this World Cup. Same with the assist part. That's just not completely there. He's incredible in La Liga. He is the queen of Spain for sure. When it comes to La Liga teams, no one does it better than him, making everyone in La Liga look like a clown. But when you take it outside of La Liga the last year or so, and you put it on the biggest level, the biggest stage against all the big boys in the league, he's including the Champions League. The dude doesn't bang in goals, doesn't bang in assists. I'm not trying to be mean. That's just what the stats and the eye test tell you. But he's an incredible player. He's only going to get better. And it's scary times for any team that's playing Spain in the future. Maybe Barcelona. I'll get into them in a second. But thank God we're marked safe from the Ballon d'Or. Surely they can't give him the Ballon d'Or if they didn't even give him the golden ball at the tournament and or the best young player. Finally, FIFA and they got something right for a change with that one, because they easily could have bought into the glaze and gave him the trophy. But hats off to you, Lamine Yamal. I enjoy watching you play, and I did sympathize for you this game, because, man, Argentina was just kicking the shit out of him the entire game. I felt bad for him out there. You could even, my friend was listening to me talking to him during the game. I felt bad, and I was even rooting for him in the end. And the words came out of my mouth. I said, come on, Lamine Yamal, bang in a goal against these bums. But, it just never happens. That's who he is right now. But he's an incredible player, and I look forward to watching him in the future. And I wish him all the success in the world and the best of health. Just not against Real Madrid, and not during Barcelona's Champions League runs for sure. But moving on to my players of the tournament, man, what a tournament. Overall, I did not really like how it ended. I personally would have enjoyed a France-England final better. And at the end of the day, we got a way better game in the third place game. Holy shit. Between France and England, that was one of the best World Cup games you could ever see. A 6-4 banger, a barn burner of a game, an exciting game, a pulse riveting game, a game that makes you wake up, a game that if any casual fan would have watched, they would have been fans of soccer the rest of their lives. That was a barn burner of a game, and some of the players of the tournament, in my opinion, came from that game. It was incredible stuff. Now, this World Cup final was the opposite. That was a snooze fest, hard to fucking watch, but a lot of the players from this game made it into my tournament team. I simply getting into it, I tried to mix the best of both stat mongers, stat whores, and players that were a part of the championship winning team. So starting with the championship winning team, Spain, I put their entire back line here, and their goalkeeper. Who the hell was better than the Spanish back line? Nobody. That's just absolute facts. They cleaned it up in this World Cup. They proved to be one of the best defensive four of all time, you could say, when it comes to international soccer. And in a World Cup, they only let in one sorry-ass goal against Belgium. And the rest of the teams, they just absolutely blanketed. That's insane to do. And their goalkeeper as well. You can see on this stat, I have Cucurella, Cubarsi, the man, the Barcelona boy, Laporte, and Pedro Porro, making up the entire Spanish backline. I have there, and Simone as my goalkeeper, the Spanish goalkeeper. And then in my midfield, I just picked the arbitrary 4-4-2 because these are the players that best fit this lineup. I have the GOAT himself, Leo Pepsi, in there. He had an incredible World Cup, banged in a lot of goals, banged in a lot of assists, still proved he's probably the best player on planet Earth at 39, out on his best day. It was a very sad scene at the end to see him go out like that. Admittedly, I've hated this guy most of my life. Being a Real Madrid fan, he was the torment of my existence during my youth, during my 20s. He was the biggest rival to Cristiano Ronaldo, but obviously I have a hell of respect for this guy. This guy is an incredible player. He still had the Messi magic most of his tournament, turned back the hands of time, but today wasn't his day. Maybe they should have gave him a little bit of a Pepsi IV at halftime. Who the hell knows what happened? I actually do have a kind of I wouldn't say a controversial take, a theory. Here's some water. This is certainly what Argentina needed today. There's a lot of water in their veins, but I also think something that probably hit them like a fucking ton of bricks is they had the most Mickey Mouse run of this tournament, this Argentina team, until they played England. And they rightfully beat England, and England kind of bottled it at the end. But Argentina had the absolute best conditions that you could ask for in this tournament during a summer, which I live in Florida. It's extremely fucking hot. It's almost unbearable to run outside except during the evening time. The key word is the evening time. Everywhere in the United States is extremely hot, extremely humid. You cannot breathe when you're running outside. In Argentina, I was fortunate enough where all their games up until even I think the semifinals was played indoors and or during the evening. I don't know how FIFA set that one up, but I really think that was like a fucking smack to the face to them having to play at 3 p.m. in New York. It gets quite hot up there, quite humid, and maybe they weren't ready for those conditions. Maybe Messi wasn't ready for that at 39 years old. Maybe he was just tired. He didn't do a whole lot of running today, but that's not really his game. And it was kind of a sad scene seeing him cry at the end. But cheer up, Messi. You know, no one needs to make you. You have nothing to be sad about. You are the GOAT of soccer, the best of all time. There will never be another player like you. And that's just facts. I don't even think Lamine Yamal will ever be able to obtain that high of a status. And the way that Lionel Messi plays the game, no one will ever play the game like that. It's incredible. No shame in your game. You made it to 3 World Cup finals. You got yours in 2022, albeit a little bit of help from the refs along the way. But one for two in World Cup finals is not bad. You just ran into a better team today. It's unfortunate, but he made my player, my team for players of the tournament. Then I put Rodri in there, the Golden Ball winner himself, still the best defensive midfielder in the world. You have to give it to the guy. He just bosses a game in the middle of the park. You know, he's not a guy that's going to do the line breaking passes. That's not really his game, but if it's defense taking the ball back from someone still with those old ass legs, I say that he's 29 years old. That's a madness. I wish I still had those Rodri legs and knees. It's tough for me to even run 2 miles, but he still, when he gets the ball, he's cool as a cucumber. He's always spraying a pass around the park. He just is never overwhelmed by the moment. That's for sure. I think I'll talk about him in a minute with Real Madrid, but he made my players of the tournament. I put Elise in there because he played midfield during this tournament. And man, if you have a guy that gave 7 assists and tied the record for most assists, now he did not bring his shooting boots to this World Cup. I wonder if this guy could even bang in a goal, even if he was put 3 feet in front of the goal, because yesterday he missed a few sitters and he didn't score a goal in this World Cup. But his ability to play with Mbappe and his vision is, I don't know if there's anyone better right now in world football with the way he can pick out a pass and an assist in the final third. Now, he won't give you those like crazy line breaking pass, like dropping deep, but he says his preferred position is number 10. He did get absolutely fucking pocketed by Spain. Everyone did. He got pocketed by Cucurella. Thank God he's coming to Real Madrid. But boy, this cat, 7 assists at a World Cup. That's tied with Pele. If your name is mentioned with Pele, you're pretty fucking good and you deserve in a World Cup team. Player of the turning team. Jude Bellingham, I threw him in there. He is still, in my opinion, the best midfielder. If you want to say he's not the best defensive midfielder, if you want to say he's the best attacking midfielder, whatever you want to put on it. 7 fucking goals at a World Cup, and I think he had an assist too. If we're comparing him to who we have quoted on this channel, who Barcelona fans have quoted on this channel as the best midfielder on planet Earth, which is quote unquote Pedri, get the fuck out of here. I do not want to ever hear that again. Pedri collected the winner's medal, but it was a participation medal for him. That guy is a fucking bum. Jude Bellingham, 7 fucking goals, the most of any English player of all time at a World Cup, and an assist too to throw in there. Great tournament. Up top, I have the 2 big strikers in the world right now. These guys, all they do is bang in goals. Their teams might not have won it, but hats off to Haaland. I think he had 7 or 8 goals, and Mbappe was the first player to ever score 10 goals, or not the first player ever to score 10 goals, the first player since the 1970s, Gerard Mueller in 1970 to score 10 goals in a World Cup. Incredible stuff from him. Unfortunate with the way his World Cup ended. He had 3 more assists, so he made my player of the tourney, and Haaland made my player of the tourney as well. Incredible stuff, incredible World Cup. And hats off to all these players, really good players across the board. I would love to have any of these guys on my team. That's for goddamn sure. And that leads me to one of the players on this list that may be coming to Real Madrid. Hopefully 2 of them. But the real news coming out, of course, this is what Real Madrid does at the end of every World Cup is we try to, sign the best player, quote unquote. It would not shock me if Real Madrid goes after Rodri. The rumors have been heating up ever since that France game. I have very mixed feelings about this one. I do feel like right now, like this current squad that we have with our transfers that have come in, including Cucurella, which will be really good. I think he will help us out a lot with the Barcelona Princess in domestic cup games. That's really where Lamine Yamal thrives, is in the Spanish league, because he is definitely a Spanish queen, that is for sure. But he will help us out. But some of these other cats, I don't see a lot of impact. They don't really excite me. Kanate, I'm really worried about that one, admittedly so, because he got one start for France, and he was a part of getting banged in 4 goals in the first half of that England versus France thrashing of the first half, and he didn't play at all until that game, and he didn't look good out there. That's for goddamn sure. Then Dumfries, he's a very solid player, one of the better. You could say there's not a ton. There is a ton of good right backs in the world, but when it comes to right backs, you could throw him in there as a top 10, top 15 right back in the world. He's certainly going to be a better defender than Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's really not hard to do. I think if you brought me in my youth, I could be a better defender than Trent Alexander-Arnold. He doesn't play much defense. And then Bernardo Silva, that really doesn't do anything for me as far as signings that we have. I think if we run it back, we are going to have trouble once again with Barcelona. Now, do I want Rodri? Do I think he's the key to the puzzle? No, but do I think he could help? For sure. I mean, the dude is good at what, his specialty is, which is he will boss a game. He will be cool, calm, and collected. He will pick out a pass. He will be the, engine that runs your machine. That is what he is. We currently, the position that he would be employing and that he would be playing over if he came to Real Madrid would be Tchouaméni. Do I think right now he's a better player than Tchouaméni? Yeah, he probably is, for sure. He just won the golden ball. He's proven that he's bounced back from his injury. The question with him is, how much is it going to cost? I've heard anything between 50 and 60 million euros, and how much life is still left in those legs? He's 29. He had a major knee injury. If all I'm getting is a Rodri signing the rest of the summer, I don't know if that's enough to overpower Barcelona. I really don't, but I'll take it. If that's all I can get, if that's all I'm being offered is, we'll say he's like let's just say he's just like your little McDonald's cheeseburger. It will get you through. It tastes good in the moment. That's diabolical, comparing him to a cheeseburger. I'll take it. That will satisfy my appetite, really. I don't think he comes unless one of our other midfielders goes, including whether it's Camavinga or Tchouaméni. I've heard they've both been flirting with. Tchouaméni's staying. He just signed a new contract. If Camavinga goes, I think Rodri will come in. I think Real Madrid will line up a bet now, or a bid for him. Now, what I want is, I don't want the McDonald's cheeseburger. I want the fucking filet mignon. I want Michael Olise, because holy shit, this dude, his chemistry with Mbappe can only be described as Jennifer and Ben Affleck, like at the beginning, before the breakups. They were just cooking at this World Cup until they met Spain. Everyone was cooking until they met Spain and they got their ass kicked. But his connection with Kylian Mbappe is incredible. I would love to see that. If that is our project and that is the dude that we're rolling with, if we are keeping Kylian Mbappe, I'm getting my water, and he is going to be our guy, and that is who we're building our project around, I don't think it takes the smartest cat in the world. I'm certainly a dummy. I had terrible takes this World Cup. Including at the very beginning of it, I said I do not see Spain going very far. That's one slap, 2 slaps for this dude. I am wrong all the time, but it doesn't take a dummy to see who plays better than any other player in the world with Olise. If you look at this World Cup, Olise probably has more assists this World Cup than Vinicius Jr. has assists with Kylian Mbappe in his entire career. Please, Florentino Perez, if you're willing to spend 50, 60 million euros on Rodri, get a guy, pay the extra 150. We can afford it and at least make a bid for Olise. Holy shit, he's 25. He's got a lot of mile left on those tires. And he even has said that he wants to come to Real Madrid. There's reports everywhere. Please get him. I think that is really the only way that we will be able to compete with Barcelona. I really do. I think if you run it back right now, I'll do a further video on this. If you run it back with our current squad, I just don't see it. Barcelona has La Liga figured out. Now, on the other side, since I have been very complimentary of Barcelona recently, and this is turning into a Real Madrid and Barcelona channel, Barcelona has La Liga wrapped up. They have a formula for that. There's no reason to think that they will not be continuing with their dominance. I have heard very mixed reports with Julian Alvarez. I'm not on the inside of those trades, but Atletico Madrid fucking hates y'all. They ain't gonna let him go for cheap. And last I heard is the talks were very stifled with that one. I do not think that Atletico Madrid wants him to go. Will Julian Alvarez come in? Who knows? But I think that is your route to maybe getting to a Champions League final. I simply, with the signings that Barcelona made this summer thus far, it can change. I do think they have La Liga wrapped up, but do I think they will do a madness and win a Champions League? Fuck no, I do not think they will. Y'all signed Anthony Gordon. I really like him. He's my favorite Barcelona player. And some other random cat that I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It was recent. A guy from the Bundesliga. Do I think that's enough for a team that got their asses kicked in the quarterfinals by Atletico Madrid? I'll put up this stat or this picture over here. They were on the Mickey Mouse side of the bracket last year. A lot can change in the league, but they were playing on the side of the bracket with the likes of Sporting Lisbon. They were playing on the likes of Atletico Madrid, Arsenal. They were on the Mickey Mouse side of the bracket, and they couldn't even muster a semifinals. Even Real Madrid made it to the fucking quarterfinals last year. If this Barcelona team wants to have European success, they need to do more. Same with Real Madrid. If you want to have European success, if you want to compete against Barcelona, you need to do more. More than just bringing in Rodri. I don't think that will help. Go get Elise if you want to compete with these cats. And Barcelona, if you want to have European success, in my opinion, you're going to have to go get Julian Alvarez. I think that's your ticket to be successful. And the Barcelona princess needs to bring his shooting boots in next season, because this guy's going to have to keep banging in a lot of goals. One thing that Barcelona has not done is they have not changed up their defense at all. I thought for sure they would sign some more cats. They do have some very good defenders, as we've seen in this World Cup, in Kubarsi, and I think Jules Koundé is a very good defender. But it's just the facts be what the facts be. They just let up a lot of goals against higher European competition. Their defense is ass against higher teams because they employ an extremely high line. I think Barcelona, in my opinion, needs to sign another defender, maybe two defenders. Who the hell knows? To shore up their lines, or if their players get tired, give some good subs that are able to defend, and or a striker on that team. But that's really all I have. I'm glad the World Cup's over. It kind of shaped up to be a nightmare scenario, but of Argentina-Spain final. But once again, well deserved for Spain. They deserve it. The golden generation for Spain and these Barcelona bums continues. Not a step wrong. Congratulations, y'all. Well deserved. MadridistaFitz out. Hopefully we can talk soon. Later.